All right, everyone, we'll call to order this evening's meeting. This is our second budget hearing. Today's Wednesday, September 24, 2025. And Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll for us?
Mayor Groff,
Here.
Vice Mayor Samara,
Here.
Commissioner Amsler,
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Huntington.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All right, everyone. So let's go ahead and get started with our public comment. We'll begin with those that are here in the log cabin, and then we'll move on to Zoom from there. Just as a reminder, our public comment is limited to 3 minutes, and please provide your name and address before you begin. Yep. The problems persist. Just kidding. There it is.
Barbara Kuehl, 777 Northeast 111th Street. I want to talk to you about the donations for North Miami Foundation. You had agreed to raise it to $1,000, which I thought was great. And you noticed at the time that no money had been given to them in 2025, even though money had been allocated. And I think it was Mr. Winklejohn who suggested waiting until the Fund Miami Day
Give Miami Day.
to double it. So I found out today, just by chance, that North Miami Foundation has lost a lot of its funding. They have no money for Meals on Wheels. Their van is in very poor shape. They don't have the money to repair it. And I went over to speak to them today because I wanted to see if the waiting for the November Fund Miami would help them. And if they would be able to double the $2,000 to $4,000. And they said, no, it doesn't work that way. When I went online, I also saw that there was a limit to what was, how you can double the donations. And they weren't even aware that they had $100,000 allocated to their foundation for this year. And they are really in desperate need. So because you had decided to wait until November, I would ask you to, I was hoping that somebody would come here tonight. I told them the meeting was tonight. I didn't know if they were able to make it, but if somebody from Biscayne Park could contact them and maybe to discuss whether or not getting the money right now for the 2025 budget would help them. And then also about getting the money for the 2026, maybe earlier or wait till November. But somebody should contact them and try to help them. And the other thing is, if we're donating money to organizations, we should really try to contact them in the beginning of the fiscal year and let them take advantage of the money rather than waiting until the 11th hour. So I hope somebody can do that and help them, because I think all the organizations are having major funding cuts. Thank you.
Robert, do you have a contact person?
That's off again. I think the man's name is Bob Cook, the director. It's even the staff hasn't been completely replaced, and they're really very desperate.
Okay, thank you.
Janie Anderson, 11905 Northeast 11th Place. Well, my first comment doesn't have anything to do with the budget. You can't hear?
It's on, just a little bit closer to the mic, I think.
Closer?
There we go.
Cool. My first comment doesn't have anything to do with the budget, but I just wanted to say thanks to Al and to Isa for the meeting on Saturday regarding the FERDAP grant. It was a little disheartening, though, that even with all the notifications that went out, there were 3 of us there. And I know Ryan was working and Art was on vacation, but I was kind of surprised to see no commission presence. You know, recently it's just been really easy to scapegoat employees regarding notification and lack thereof. But, you know, we as residents have a responsibility to engage, to seek out information. It's not up to staff to spoon feed us. Anyway, on to the budget. I thought Isa, back at the workshop, when he presented his reasoning for his staffing requirements, why he needs 3 part-timers and the additional full-timer, it made sense, it was professional and well thought of, and I certainly hope all of you will trust him. I mean, to be kind of blunt, he's been at this a long time, in some cases probably longer than some of you have lived here. He knows his stuff. And that's a department that's got to be manned to some degree, 7 days a week, where safety and someone there for oversight is critical. It's not an area to nickel and dime. It's such an important, vital part of our community that it really deserves a whole lot more respect during the budget process than that department has gotten over the years. Thanks.
Bob Anderson, 11905, 111th Place. Looking at the budget, I think this is a good, solid budget, and I hope you guys don't start nickeling, diming it. Looking at the rec center, it's about time that we're funding it properly and staffing it properly. The staffing is so thin there. If somebody really gets sick and they can't come in, we're on the verge of maybe just close it when somebody is not there. I don't think we want that. So I hope you guys don't go ahead and change
Did you
the
mention,
budget for the rec center.
sorry to interrupt you. I wasn't sure which budget you were talking about. Was it code that you said?
I'm talking about the rec center,
Rec center, sorry.
but it's a good, solid overall budget all the way through for all the departments.
More here in the log cabin? Going once, going twice, okay. And seeing none on Zoom? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and close public comment at this time. I'll ask the commission if there's any reply. Your mic's off.
The reason why I wasn't there on Saturday is I have a state required pest control license and business classes that I have to take. If I don't take it, I lose my license. So that's the only reason I wasn't there. Thank you.
Was the meeting on Saturday recorded? It was not recorded? Oh, that's a shame. Okay, thank you.
I'll just add, as far as Barbara's comment, Al, is that something that you can follow up with?
Yes, yes, I will.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner,
Just to verify, I think Barbara misspoke. She said $100,000 is only $1,000. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's $1,000.
Commissioner Amsler, when I'd asked about the name for the director, you mentioned.
Yes.
Because you kind of jumped the gun. Do you have a relationship?
I had a back and forth with a couple people from the foundation, and I know that he was the one, Bob was the one signing the letters addressed to the village.
Okay.
So I don't remember if I specifically spoke with him, but I can give you the context. What are you planning to?
I was just gonna make a phone call, but if someone
Yeah.
knew him already, then I would say go ahead and.
No. So I didn't talk to him directly. I did talk to some of the people, and I was the one sort of hoping that we put this budget aside. That's why I reached out at the time for this. I didn't know what you're saying. You know, Miami Give Day is supposed to double the donations, and that's how I interpret it as well. So I thought it was a good opportunity. To your point, I think, yes, we need to let people know when we have money, and, you know, hopefully they can count with that, even if it's $500. I know it's not much, but our commitment was just to have some part of that. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm happy to do, pass you the context I have, and then you can take it from there. But
We can email Mr. Manager together. if
Yeah.
you want.
as long as we continue the support, especially in the circumstances that you're describing, which I wasn't aware of. So thank you for bringing it up.
Very good. Any other reply? No? Okay. All right, having no resolutions, let's move on to our ordinances, our two ordinances for our second read for our budget. And Brad, just to make sure that we do it correctly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, before we get into the ordinances, now that John is in the room, today is John's birthday. So we want to wish him a happy birthday.
And he chose to be here with us.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
Birthday, John. Thank you for being here on your birthday.
And it's also Commissioner Gonzalez's anniversary.
Oh,
36 years.
Hey,
congratulations. That's a number.
So both of them have to leave early tonight, so we want to make this very short. But we have cake, and I think Doreen's going to pass out some of the cake to celebrate those two
That's
milestones
sweet.
in their life.
well, very good. Thank you, Mr. Manager. I appreciate the update. Well, in that case, let's not delay. So Brad, just to confirm procedure, the procedure will follow the same, where we can open up the ordinance, we can table the ordinance, go to the budget, approve the budget, and come back and approve the millage, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, then let's get started. So Brad, our first ordinance, 2025-01, could you please read it onto the record for us?
An ordinance of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, establishing and adopting a final millage rate and levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025, 2026 in the amount of 9.3 mils for each $1,000 of assessed valuation upon real and personal property within the village limits of the Village of Biscayne Park, which is 10.7% higher than the rollback rate of 8.4009 mils, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, Brad, thank you. And just so we're clear on the procedure, because of the percentage higher, we need a unanimous vote. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great.
Unanimous vote of all five.
Got it. Thank you very much. Okay, so
Can I ask you a question just on the content of the on the ordinance?
well, let's do a motion in a second, move to
Sorry,
discussion. All right.
go ahead.
We have a motion and a second to move the ordinance into discussion.
Motion to move to discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay, because this is an ordinance, we have to open each to public comment. Is there any public comment on the ordinance? Okay, no, not seeing any on Zoom. Okay, no public comment on the ordinance. Commissioner, go ahead.
No, I just want to, Paul, was that modified, the rollback rate that we have here? No, it's the same. Okay, because I don't know why I have the 903. Okay, but that was, because at the end of the meeting, it was like, no, it was correct, but it's 8.4, is that right? Okay, all right, perfect.
Okay,
So are we not tabling it?
yes. So is there a motion to table the ordinance so we can move on to the second ordinance?
Motion to table.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our second ordinance, ordinance 2025-02. Brad, would you please read onto the record for us?
Of course. An ordinance of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, adopting a budget for fiscal year 2025, 2026 for the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Brad. Do I have a motion and a second to move to discussion?
Motion to move to discussion.
Second it.
And do we have any public comment on the ordinance before we move, before the commission discusses? No, no, seeing none? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move our ordinance to discussion. Let me back up. All right. So I know, Mr. Manager, you had a memo attached to our second read.
Yeah.
Want to read the memo for us?
No,
Is it different?
well, I also have some highlights. I'll just give you some highlights of the budget overall.
Please.
So overall, we've reduced the tax millage rate from 9.4 to 9.3. The goal is to increase our emergency reserves presently from 3 million to 5 million in the future. We lowered the operating budget from prior year by $120,757. The employees in non-bargaining positions will receive a 3% cost of living adjustment, COLA, and a 3% and a merit increase of 2%. Police officers within the PBA will receive a step increase as bargained. Employees within the Public Works Department will receive a $500 bonus in December. Pay increases for maintenance workers and working supervisor. The Code Compliance Department was reorganized to eliminate one position and increase efficiency. The Police Department was reorganized, eliminating part-time positions and reducing the number of police officers' reserve positions to be cost-effective and streamline operations. We reduced the number of cars in the fleet, resulting in cost savings in purchasing 2 new police vehicles and 1 new code compliance vehicle. We established a position within the to assist the village clerk with daily duties. We expanded positions in Parks and Recreation Department from a part-time position to a full-time position, establishing increased coverage at the parks. We simplified funding allocations for maintenance and landscape service levels. We identified $2.4 million for major capital improvement projects to projects that were to be completed or contracts awarded in the upcoming fiscal year. Those include the log cabin roof, the lighting around the log cabin, the ADA improvements around the log cabin, 2 stormwater projects, demolition of the Public Works storage building, installation of an access gate for the Public Works yard, install a new roadway on both sides of the log cabin, upgrade the log cabin IT connection and video audio systems, redesign, upgrade village to website, complete Safe Streets grant program, and complete parking phase 1 of the Ed Burke Recreational Center. That's about it.
Okay, Mr. Manager, thank you. Before we look at the departments here, are there any questions for the
Just point of order. I don't know if this is the time to discuss it. City Manager, remember I had the meeting with you. If you could explain, because I had notices from a couple of residents who noticed that the proposed tax increase, and they were concerned about it. So if you could, you explained it to me and it was acceptable, but if you can explain it to the rest of the public about it.
Okay, so I have somebody that's better knowledgeable in the room than me, and that's our finance director. So I'll let him explain that. But we did, as you said, Commissioner, we did lower our millage rate from 9.4 to 9.3, and that sets our tax rate. But we're still advertised as an increase in your taxes, and the finance director can explain why.
Correct. The rules requiring how you present the advertisement is based on the millage rate that you set in July, on July 15th or 17th. That date you set a 9.4 millage rate. So you were a rollback rate of 8.4 to 9.4 is an increase. You've gone down from the 9.4 to 9.3, so that's a reduction, but you still have that increase of 10%. They are. They will go up.
Yeah, because our tax assessment is going up.
Right, the total tax assessment, but the budget and the millage rate to obtain the funds needed was gone. You know, we went through all of that. We've reduced it, but it's still relative to last year. That's homesteaded will see a 3% increase, and those non-homesteaded homes will see the 10.7 increase. The way it's presented in the ad as an increase, correct, and it shows the total amount of money that each line item was and what it will be. If we were to adopt a 9.4 today, we know we're not going to. We already approved a 9.3 in the first hearing, so we cannot go back up to 9.4 either. Good.
Your mic is off.
I wanted to, a couple of residents brought it to my attention, and I just wanted it to be.
That happens every year.
Yeah, so our Commissioner, just to follow up, so our tax increase is double digit, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's one of the largest in Miami-Dade County, and that's good for your property owners, that their property values are going up. It shows that this is a desired place to live, and we certainly wouldn't want to be in a village or be in a city, a jurisdiction where your tax assessment is going down or only going up, maybe 2% or so. So it shows that this is a desirable place to live, and the values of our homes are increasing in double digits.
I seen it in the newspaper or the other cities. Okay, thank you.
Right, they're all in there. You can compare.
Okay, so do we have any questions for the manager on his presentation on the budget highlights? No?
I guess before I answer yes or no, how are you planning to do this portion?
So we've gone through at our first, I was just going to follow the same structure as our first budget read, because we've gone through, we went through all these in detail. The first one, the majority of these, we didn't have any questions on, that they were already resolved. I really only highlight one question that I'm aware of, but I'm open to the commission if they have any questions. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to go right down the line. So with respect to the commission budget, are there any questions on the second read for the commission budget? No? Okay. Administration, I have one question on here. Oh, okay, the question, administration, we set the attorney's budget. So recall that we left the first budget meeting with a proposal of, I think, 125. And I'd ask Brad at this time to give us an update on that, if you would, please.
So the firm is reducing its ask. What we're asking for is an increase to 137.5. That's basically midway between what your all offer was and what we were asking for.
Okay.
So now that you've asked the questions and opened that can of worm up, are we going to talk about that today, or is this something that needs to be brought up at the on the agenda and on the next commission meeting? Because we also tasked the manager with getting us some information on comparables.
Yes, you're right.
So is this now, okay, we have the information, or are we going to talk about it, or what are we doing?
Well, I guess 2 points on your point, Art, there. One, Brad, is this something that the firm is expecting and needs an answer on this evening? Or is it something that we can increase if we so choose at a later time? I'm curious as to hear from you on that point.
I guess the best way to put it is we've never posed it to the village that we're leaving if you don't give us an increase.
Right.
I'm not saying we're not, but it's not something that we've conditioned on. We never said take it or leave it.
Okay.
We've given you our analysis of why we asked for what we asked for. And you all countered. We've come back with another counter. So I don't know any other way to put it.
I understand. So let me ask 2 additional questions on a follow-up. First, for the manager, because there was some additional information we were, I guess, looking to put together to give us some context in regards to their request. Do we have any update on that as of yet?
Yeah, so as I said before, Mayor, I had to reach out to 3 firms. One said, if you're a very large firm in Miami-Dade County that everybody's probably very familiar with, that does a lot of city government work, and they said, we would step in and help you, but we really couldn't do it for that price. Another is an individual that had done work for the village before and said he wasn't interested, but he'll get back with us, and he's going to provide me a name. I need to reach out to him and follow up with him. And then a third gentleman who's with a firm of over 1,000 members, 1,000 lawyers located here in Miami-Dade County, has done work for the village before, and he said he would be interested in coming back when we do it for about 125.
Okay. And the last question that I have is for you, Paul. So in the scenario where we don't decide now because we want to have a little bit more context, or we want to put it on for discussion at at October's agenda meeting, maybe, for example, if we don't increase the line item this evening, how would that work from a budget perspective? If we were to increase it later, sorry.
Sure. Throughout the, for the rest of the fiscal year, from October 1 through some point in time, you would eventually exceed that line item budget. And then the manager and I would have a recommendation, would have a choice. We could either absorb it through other lines within the administrative budget, or we could come back to you for an amendment to that department with probably with other amendments, that happen typically that time of year anyway. And you would have to have a two meeting ordinance correct amendment to the budget. Assuming you have other amendments, that's not a big deal, but by itself, it would frankly be a waste of money because of the advertisement and your time, et cetera. So the cleanest way to do it would be to, on the floor today, amend the professional line, $37,000, and have a corresponding reduction in the two, I call them buckets, the unassigned fund and the emergency reserve fund, which are 75-25 as proposed today. So those would reduce 37,000 proportionate to the percentages I just described.
And you're, okay,
So an amendment as stated would accomplish that.
okay. So those are the questions that I have. I don't know if there's anything else the commission, if you feel that we have enough information to discuss it here tonight, or if you'd prefer that we wait for the manager to get more information.
So,
Fine.
if I could just follow up with what the finance director is saying. So yes, in that, it all falls under administration. So if we see that the entire administration budget is going to go over budget, then we would come back and ask for a budget amendment, maybe 6 months into the budget. But I'm confident that if there was going to be an increase in that, we could absorb it somewhere else where we did in this past budget year. We have had absorbed the expenses that went over a little bit, and I'm confident we could do that within this budget.
Okay,
So if I'm following, so you're saying we keep it as the line as 100 and we absorb the difference? Okay.
If your plan is to go to maybe 150 or 175 or something else like that, I don't think we could absorb that. But if it's 125, we certainly could absorb that.
Okay. So the what's on the table is 137.5, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So it would be the 37.5 additional. So this is how I feel about this. So obviously last time I kind of threw that number. So for me, it's going to be a yes to move forward with that adjustment. I also think it just speaks for the position itself and how critical it is. I don't think we've done anything to evaluate service per se. So if it's from a negotiation standpoint, and then we're comparing with other firms, it seems to me we have enough information to understand we're somewhere in the middle. So for me, that has the value of the 37.5 to make the decision today. And then I'm not comfortable with seeing how sort of the budget lands. I don't think it's a right commitment with a vendor, especially a firm that sits in this day as with us. I think it's a stronger commitment to say we agree to whatever, if it's not 37.5, the majority agrees to, and then we can close it today as part of the commitment. I would want to make sure that whatever we decide, we start paying for the first month of fiscal, not as sort of the leftovers, and then we come back asking for more money. But that's my opinion on it.
okay. Is there anyone else that wants to comment?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with what he said of adding the 37.5 and then making, if we decide we don't want to use that 37.5, reducing that. But I'm not ready to make a decision today because I don't have enough comparables. We only have one, and I haven't had time to look at who these other organizations are, or so to me, I'm good with adding it. And then if we decide we want to move forward with it, we have it. But if we want to reduce it, we can always reduce it.
Okay. Commissioner?
For me, I mean, 130 was my number. I'm inclined to go to the 137.5. Again, I concur with Commissioner Gonzalez. I'm not ready to make a decision today. I haven't seen any comparables. I've only seen really one number. But I do want to, this is two sides of this coin. If we take it out of some bucket, we put it in one bucket, it comes out of another. So I want to lock down where that's coming out of. If it's coming out of capital projects, is it coming out of, if it's coming out of capital projects, I'm probably going to change my mind and say no.
No, reserves.
Oh,
No, reserves.
okay. I feel a little bit better now. Okay. I
Correct.
feel a little bit better now. Then yes. Then for me, I'd rather, like Commissioner Gonzalez says, take it out of what we contribute to reserves, but not make a commitment tonight. I'd rather shop around and make sure we're making a strong fiscal decision.
So then why don't we do this? Why don't we then kind of meet in the middle? We can set the number in the budget, so we're committed to it, with the understanding that we'll have a future discussion about it when we have more information. So we can earmark it, line item, however you want to refer to it as, in the budget, and it would reduce those reserves proportionally by the 75-25 that Paul, you recommended, to meet the 37.5 that he's asking. We'll have it as the placeholder, it'll be there. And then when we're comfortable with with the information that we have to make the decision firmly, we'll make it then.
Yeah, but I'd like to add that I would like for Al to have this information by our next meeting, because we need to make a decision one way or another, and not leave them also in limbo, right? So we need that information meeting.
So,
Is that possible, Al?
so you want more firms, or what are you looking for? You just want me?
We're looking, I would like to have some options, right, presented to us prior to the meeting, so that we can look at what are the options, what are the costs, and also that we can do our homework on these, whomever it is that you're recommending or
Okay.
you're bringing to the table. You've only given us really one
Yeah.
name and one number. I don't care what the numbers are, but I'd like to see some numbers and some firms that would be willing to do the job, and then present them to us so that we can do our homework. And then when we come here, we're ready to make a decision one way or another.
All right, I think, Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Yep.
I think your two options would be to advertise the position and make a determination on just what you want to pay for that position, whether it's 125, 137.5, and you could advertise that position, and put it out there and just see what resumes you get, or you can also put out for an RFQ, requesting qualifications. I've seen cities do that. Or you can ask me to continue to call firms around South Florida. Preferably, I think the Miami area, Miami-Dade County, that knows Miami-Dade County, and just ask the League of Cities also if they know of anybody, and those are the three options.
I would prefer the latter option, only because going out to bid, I think, would slow it down, and I
Yeah.
don't want to keep them waiting on us. So even if it's just a couple options for us to kind of get an understanding of what the level of services for the amount of money we're paying would be easier.
Can I say, so your suggestion was, let's move forward with what's being requested. We assign it in the budget.
Correct.
If it's not confirmed by October, say we don't have enough feedback yet, we have November.
Mm.
Worst case scenario, we're 2 months into the service at that price on 137.5.
Mm.
And at that point, we have a renegotiation opportunity because we have other comparisons to do. Or we all agree that that's the best number and service that we decide to continue. So the worst case scenario we're describing is the difference between 125 and 137.5 for those 2 months at the most,
Yes,
if we don't agree with continuing, right?
correct.
At that level of price. I'm fine with that you suggested. I think that's a fair for everybody. First, we assign the attorney the budgets being requested,
Mhm.
and we make the commitment to have enough time also for the manager to go and search for options and more of a educated guess. If that's the case, I just want to finish my thought. We would have to assign the entire year 137.5. Can we do just a couple months? And how do you see it? And then or do you decide do 137.5 and then assign, you know what,
Yeah,
if anything, it's a
it's cleaner.
save-in that we put
Just
into
to
it.
go all the way to it, because if
Yeah.
you don't use it, it has the same effect. It
Correct.
falls into surplus.
Yes.
It goes into the same funds anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no material difference.
Yeah, I think I'm more comfortable with that. That's
Okay, so then I guess the direction will be at this time to increase the line item for the attorney from whatever it's at now. I'm not looking.
100,000,
100,000 up to the 137. It will be earmarked for that amount of money.
137,500.
Excuse me, sorry, I was about to correct myself. And then we'll put on our October agenda, a discussion item for an update from the manager on any additional information he's received from other firms, and hopefully we'll have enough at that time for us to make an affirmative decision to move forward, either move forward, Brad, at the amount that you've requested that we are line iteming, or move otherwise.
So can I just ask a procedural question?
Yeah, sure.
So just come October, the billing question, really.
Yeah.
So at what rate are we billing for October? 100,000?
I think it has to be because we're not approving the,
Yes.
yeah, I think it has to be because it's not being approved yet at 137.5, but
When you approve the new rate, you could pick an effective date wherever you want.
understood. Okay.
So,
We're what? We're 2 weeks away from that meeting.
but are we all in agreement to add the 37.5? Are we all in agreement to that?
So that's where I'm confused because if we're gonna keep the budget at 100 for a couple months, the worst case scenario, what are we approving today?
He's
If he's gonna continue to bill us what he's billing us for the next couple months, what are we deciding today?
it would be
To increase the proposed budget line 37,500, and a corresponding business decision will come at a later date. Whatever you decide to do, you decide to do. If it doesn't sound like anyone's going over that number. So from a budget standpoint, anything under that will fall as surplus for that line item and be as though you didn't raise it at all. So there's no harm in, operationally or budgetarily for you all. You're not reducing anything to pay for this. So there's no impact. It's just putting the right number in the budget that where you could go to so that you don't have to do an onerous budget change later in the year unnecessarily.
What number would that be then?
What was that?
What number would that be? How are we changing?
We don't know. It depends when you pick
But I'm
doing-
saying to approve today the budget, do we leave?
just the budget. It's an increase of 37,500 only in the budget. The contractual decision is a later date.
Yeah.
And the impact of that financially is at a later date.
We have to change it in the budget.
So if I can make another suggestion, so in the October meeting, we'll ideally make a decision, right? If we're going to move forward or not.
Right.
But I think that to Commissioner Amsler's point, that transition can take several months. And I'm comfortable with letting them bill for however many months that is, whether it's a month or 2 or 3, if we decide not to go with them at the rate of 137.5, starting in October. I'm comfortable with that.
So we put the 137.5 in the budget and then reassess worst case scenario in a couple of months and renegotiate if we have to.
Right, but we can start paying them the 137.5 as of October, even if we don't move forward with them and it takes 2 or 3 months. I think that that's fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about a week or so of a billing rate.
That is if the manager has time
Yeah,
to come back
starting-
with more
right,
stuff, right? Yeah. But I think that's the fairest thing to
Okay.
to
All right.
do.
So I think that's the direction then for that line item, Paul.
Yep.
Let
So
me-
when we,
Yeah.
whoever moves the ordinance,
You gotta
state it as an
mention-
amended,
As
or do you
amended.
want to do a motion to amend it? It's the legal opinion.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'll try to bring back 3 to 5 names for you on the October agenda
Okay, great.
and have resumes for you and for you to review those resumes at the October agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Huh?
I don't.
Yes.
Is there anybody,
Discount?
Any of the
No, I'm just
any
kidding.
members of the commission that want anything
already got that.
additional from the attorney?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Brad. All right. So that was my only question on administration. Are there any other questions on administration?
No, I'm just going to share a thought. I think I shared on the previous budget. I am not comfortable with the addition assistant to the clerk, and not that because it's not needed. I know it's a lot of Pamela's plate, and I'm sure it adds value to the operation overall. I'm just not comfortable with the methodology. I think the idea of not going first through the performance evaluation and doing proper sort of back end work to let people that are performing great know that they are, and those are not, this is the opportunity to discuss and see really what the needs are to fulfill that a position open. I think that's the space to do it before. But it's, I think, more in the methodology. It increases The budget by a lot. And so one of the questions I had with Paul this morning was, or I think we're also talking on the legal aspect. I wasn't sure if by saying yes or no to the budget, I was modifying the millage rate, but now I'm clear that two separate things completely. And that's the part that for me, it's still like, I think the rest of the budget on itself, it's fine. I think there's a lot of savings we've been able to pull beyond the added expenses for salaries and FICA and all of that. But I think it's more the methodology that I'm not comfortable with.
Understood. Okay. Are there any other questions on administration? No? Okay. And I'm not dismissing what you had to say, Commissioner Ames. I just know at our first read, we had a majority of the commission move forward on it.
Yes.
For votes. So
Yeah, and
Actually,
that's
don't
why,
look at it.
no, and I wanted to, because, when I said yes, I think when I was saying yes to the entire budget, I'm thinking from a number perspective that I'm saying yes to that millage rate as well. Then, I deep dive into the differences, and obviously, one thing is a millage rate different than the budget. I might not necessarily agree with where the budget lands for administration. That's what I'm saying. I don't. And it has to do with the additional position, but also the way they were thought out. And just to, and I'll leave it to that because I'll get to code, but that was just a note I wanted to make.
All right. So let's move on to police. Is there any questions from the commission on the police budget?
No, just thank you. I think it's a very solid budget for the police. I am very excited that we have like a full escuadra, how you say, like a full staffing on board, right? Squad, thanks. I'm excited to have you on board leading it, so thank you.
All right. Code. Questions from the commission on code?
Well, just with the code, the only thing I'm still concerned about the burnout. I don't know if my question's really been answered on that, or if I explained it right. I know that we only have two employees. I'm really concerned about, burnout, and what do we do if there is burnout? I don't know if I'm explaining it. I
The
think
department head and the manager answered that as they can handle it. So
And I had written something about code in the same terms of how we hiring and how we are lowering staff. It's a little gray area for me. So in the past, we've added positions without a full evaluation of performance or role needs. For example, last year, we expected to expand the code department, and under the impression that it was critical. If you guys remember, it was like a lot bigger. Our code department grew. But this year, we're reducing it almost like half, right?
you may remember I answered that under one of the workshops, or at this, I think it was under the workshop, that you have to remember you had a very bizarre approach to your building and code enforcement. And I'm being polite probably by saying bizarre. And you were way overpaying and way over allocating staff because of the way it was set up. And so we fixed that. So you had a significant increase on paper because it was misapplied to your building department. So when accounting re-racked that, it looks like you have a huge change, but in material impact, it isn't that much different.
And I think that's an important difference to make. But from a standpoint of making the decision, it's important to also have in paper what those roles in terms of hours are required, with the descriptions of what each of them do. And I think, again, we were told, if you remember, that these were critical. And I understand there is both impacts, the financial side of it, of how it was sort of explain the budget, but also on the back end, how many heads we needed to fill up this department. And now it's significantly less.
Well, if I could give my perspective as your
Yes.
finance director, when you had one code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
And two code enforcement officers, you have not added any new buildings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the same inventory. And if on paper you had 6 code enforcement officers, that would be ludicrous. So the department head and the manager both said this is what we want. As a finance director, you're not taking any risks.
Yeah. No, and I think proof to that is that we had a position empty with Luciano leaving, and I think that conversation was that proved that maybe wasn't needed, right? I mean, the amount of work was still being performed by the rest of the employees. So
Yeah,
again, so that was my concern. It was more on the methodology as well as how we said yes to, one manager before with a different approach and same finance director, and it showed a different increase and how we evaluated the department as a whole. And here we are, different managers, same director, showcasing a completely different approach. And I think that's what I've seen, as I was telling you, in my 3 years. So as every year we're trying to adapt ourselves as to what it is, I'm hoping for like standards that we can achieve year over year. They're the same, and I think performance evaluator and key performance evaluators are one of those. That's it.
I just want to just say real quick, I think that Commissioner Amsler, I think that was just a direct correlation with poor management.
I agree.
And now that we have a seasoned manager here, he sees what can be done and what cannot be done and
Yeah.
the excesses. And yeah, they come before us, managers come before us and tell us, the sky is falling, and then we react to that, right? But the reality is we're not in those offices and we don't see what the day-to-day stuff is and then what happens. And so it's a direct correlation with hiring poor management.
Yeah.
And that's really basically what happened.
Yeah, I don't disagree to that. I think that's sort of, without speaking, of prior years, just very different styles and approaches with very minimum change of minority changes in this commission. So it's a lot of different ways to see budget, and I'm still trying to understand at what point we talk about SOPs. So once and for all, we kind of standardize ways of doing things. And again, so that this doesn't happen, so that we don't have this fluctuations. Yeah, that's it. Beyond that, I think, Doreen, thank you, and you have a challenge in front of you. So thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions about the code budget? No, hearing none. Okay, let's move on to Public Works. Any questions for Public Works? No, hearing none.
Yes, I have one.
You, okay.
Okay. City man, you're still looking for, as they say, for a manager, right? Okay, so how is that going to work? Where is that money going to come from? Whatever, is over? Do you have it already in the budget for that?
Yeah, I'm confident if there's cost savings, if we find the right person, we could move some money around and budget for that position.
Because it could be John. I'm just saying. But okay, so that's my question. So.
I have a question on 46-2, which is the $50,000 we're allocating to trees. Let me just pull it up to see the reading. Public Works. An update. So 46.2. So you have, so we have 50,000 on plantings. And I think I was that changed in any way?
The Public Works line items you're talking about, were the change was not a funding level, it was a description level to broaden it a little bit more accurately on how it may be used versus it used to be very specific and it was never used that way. So
Yeah.
this is a more accurate description in terms of how the manager would apply it.
Okay. So are we saying, Albert, the $50,000 plantings, what of that is committed to new trees, considering what happened with the Australian pines? Are we saying we have a specific budget assigned for trees?
Well, Commissioner, as you know, the mayor had just sent out a letter to the county commissioner saying our number one priority is the replacement of our Australian pines, and that we're asking for $25,000 grant for her for those replacement of the trees. And then we're willing to match that with another $25,000.
So from this line where I see plantings at 50, 25 of that. It's
Come from there, you're right.
okay. All right. That's what my question was. But in essence, we're going for this grant with the idea of doubling it just for the purpose. The rest is just plantings in general of what were needed.
Yeah, so that's our main goal is to get that $25,000. I know the mayor's working hard to lobby.
Letter went out.
He's making phone calls every day and making sure we follow up and get that $25,000.
That is through the county, you said, right?
The county commissioner, yes,
Okay.
from Mickey's office. It didn't require us to match either, but we were putting the money up from this line item as a show of faith of we're putting more money into the plantings.
Okay.
We don't have to match that 25 that's coming from the county, but we as a commission decided at the last meeting to do that.
Yes. And this is in addition to the 25 she told you to spend wherever, because we had projects to think about, or this is the one?
That is the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, it was
That was the other. I wasn't sure if we decided not, because we had a list, remember?
It was
like certain,
tree planting, the
Cybersecurity.
cybersecurity infrastructure, and then the rec upgrades.
yeah.
So those were the three items that were I outlined on the
So
letter.
basically, we chose this to be the priority.
This was the number one.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay.
Then, and then the storm drain mains, it was 25K for twice a year. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I do. Not so, yeah. Sure, yeah. No, not a problem. Can you just tell us your name and address, please?
Name is Jorge Malagon, 1032 Northeast, 111th Street. Yeah.
And so your question was the drainage project?
Yes.
So, right, what we've done in this budget, we've allocated a significant amount of money to achieve the next phase of our drainage project. We were able to get a little bit over $400,000 in state appropriations. We matched that money, and we have some additional ARPA money that we are putting all towards the development of the next stage of our drainage project. So a couple years ago, we had a very large master plan for a drainage project to be done in phases. It's very expensive. We can't afford to do it all at once. So we phased it out. Our next phase, we're working on it now. We finally have the funding to do it. So we're starting that project this fiscal year.
Okay, I understand that. The property that I own, at the beginning, it was on the list to be improved, but at the end, never got improved. I mean, the road, because the road, it's not my road, it's your road, you know? And I was told that there were gonna be a second project, a smaller project with some help from federal funds. You were trying to allocate some funds. But at this point, I don't have any news on that, you know?
Yeah.
That's my concern.
So might I suggest this? If we're about halfway through this. The last couple ones aren't quite as involved as the other departments. We'll move it through as quickly as we can. If you want to stay with us, I'm happy to talk with you afterwards about it.
Yes,
if you'd
I'll
like.
stay.
Okay.
Can I highlight something before we do that? Just, you might be referencing the year that we didn't get any funds, which was last year. There was a pause and as we were going for appropriations in order to continue the project, and the project had to be paused because we didn't get the funding. So there was if you will, from the first phase that we did go ahead, now we're putting in the budget, the second phase, finally, it was supposed to be last year. We didn't get to that point. So we're getting closer. And you know, the areas have been already identified. I don't think they're changing, right? They're still the same.
Yeah, so that item will be coming before you in October, and then probably be awarding the contract sometime in November or December.
So it's happening pretty quickly.
Right, and then that's the time that we'll notify you, so that you could come and tonight is just identifying the money, approving the money, and then later on the exact projects will come before the commission to be approved with those exact locations. So then I'll be reaching out to you then when that occurs.
The only thing I've seen close to my area is some company went there, did some kind of study. They dug a hole in the ground took out some samples of dirt, and they took off. I have never, they never came back. No one came back again. That's the
Not
only
sure what
thing I
that
took.
was for, but I'm happy to talk to you about it afterwards to
Yes.
give you some updates on what we're doing. So we
I'll
can,
see.
okay, thank you very much. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
your
much.
patience.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's keep going. We just finished with Public Works. Are there any questions on Parks and Rec? Okay. Let's move on. So next is budget summary and revenues. Any questions on ARPA funding? We already know where that's going. No, hearing none. I'm going to leave capital projects until the end if there are any questions on that one.
Give me one.
Sure. Yeah, the two that I jumped over were budget summary and revenue.
For the budget summer, where's Paul? Oh, yeah, sorry, put my glasses. The 100% levy that we were talking, it stays like that? You change it? How
No,
it is?
that's a notation that
Okay.
was left in from years ago in error. We don't usually go over the revenue account, so I've missed it. I'll remove it for the final version.
It's okay. I just didn't know if it was.
You operate on
95.
what, it's good for the record that the residents understand. We operate as though we're only going to receive 95%
Yeah.
of the non-ad valorem levy. And because of that, it's a little bit of a cushion because there's a lot of variability with that last 5%. And this is a common practice and we employ it at a time when you had a negative $200,000 budget, you needed 100% in your budget to balance. So
Yeah.
that's a sign of your past that maybe I left it in there subconsciously. I don't know.
No, and I think
We'll remove that.
I was doing the 95% of the total. That's
Yeah,
why-
it wouldn't have worked. Yeah.
No, I know, it did.
Yeah,
The thing it says.
It wouldn't work at
100.
100. Yeah.
So that's why I just wanted to bring that.
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so we were on ARPA. Were there any questions about ARPA? I mean, that flows into capital projects, so we can talk about that when we get to capital projects. Any questions on CITT? No, hearing none. Forfeiture fund, any questions there? Hearing none, okay. Police fund, any questions there? No, okay. Road fund, any questions there? Okay. Sanitation fund, any questions there? Okay, so then the last one is capital projects. Any questions on capital projects?
So, let me just go back to my notes real quick. EIP. So which of the projects, so I know a lot of the projects came from the prior year, right? Most of the projects kind of carry on because we didn't accomplish. So, how I approach this, my first question to both the manager and Paul were, what were we able to do? And what are we saying we're going to do? So sort of the status of the previous year versus this. So from this year, I just wanted to understand which ones are the key new projects, because some of them obviously come from before. So the Safe for Streets for All.
Safe Streets.
I always say it wrong. Safe Streets for All. Is that allocated to use for the ILA implementation, or is this going to be used for matching, sort of asking for additional money for roads? I was trying to understand the difference. What are we using this for?
I'm not familiar with this program. It's a Public Works.
Because originally it had to do with the traffic study we had put in the CIP last year.
So this is just for the study. It's not,
Okay.
and, they may come back at the end of the study and say, what they're proposing may cost $5 million with the roundabouts and
Yeah.
and everything else. So this is just to do a study.
So in the study, we have the Safe Streets for All is 25,000, right?
That's our portion of it.
And so it would be a matching grant. We pay that and they get,
Your mic's off.
It's a,
Yeah, they're putting in more money than us. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a state matching grant. Excuse me, I think federal. It's 100,000 for them, 25 for us. It's 100.
So 25 and we get the 100, we'll get to 125 investment.
$125,000 project.
Yeah.
We only spent 25 on.
And then so I was looking into that. I was trying to understand like the deadline to see if it falls from this year. So deadline says it's June 2025. So are we applying June 2026?
Yeah, so we had just met with them, and we went over our application. They had talked to us. We're waiting. It's all in their court right now. And we're waiting to hear back from them where we are. And we're competing. Miami Shores said they also applied for the same grant.
Oh, so we applied this year.
Yes, we
Okay,
applied for this.
okay.
Yes.
Now, Commissioner, we were awarded this grant in 2023. This has already been awarded to us. It's something that's been sitting in the hopper for quite a long time to utilize.
That's what I'm saying, because I have it in this is one of the things that keep popping up year over year.
This was a grant we were awarded in 2023.
Yeah.
And they've been going through back and forth with our grant writer, changing some language.
Right.
There's a change internally at the state. They're getting very close to finishing that paperwork.
So that we can actually capture the money.
We
We-
actually went before Manager Childress came on board. We actually went out to bid for this project. It was
Yeah.
out to bid. We never awarded it because of those changes and the paperwork wasn't done with the state.
So yeah,
What I'm
we,
sorry?
and we
Because
just
the
we just
paperwork
met with
wasn't
the federal government and consulted for FDOT, and we had perfected the application that they had wanted us to make some changes. And then we
Okay.
completed that.
But so it's basically we already applied. When you said we were awarded this,
We were awarded this grant in 2023. Yes.
but we have never received the money due to paperwork and back end
We
administration.
have to start spending to receive.
So even though we did this before, why isn't this fiscal then? I'm trying to understand, because we never spent it in accordance to the administrative part.
Because since we've,
Okay.
since
So
we
it's
awarded this
paperwork.
grant, we've never executed.
Yeah.
It's on our, once this paperwork is done, it's on our to execute.
So essentially, we won't see the money until potentially when? What do you think, or how do you know?
So Commissioner, the way I understand, we hadn't perfected our paperwork, so we had just done that when we had met with the consultant.
Yeah,
It's back in their ballpark now. I'll follow up with them and see what the next step is. We're just waiting to hear back from them.
okay. And then at that point, we can do traffic study and maybe some other, like, I'm trying to understand if we are able to do the speed bumps, 119 people are asking for it, or if there is a process we put in place following ILA. I don't know, again, obviously, we don't know how much the traffic study is going to cost us, but at some point, we talked about $15,000. I want to be realistic, we have 125. It was a very different number.
So as the process moves forward, Commissioner, I'll be keeping you informed through an LTC.
All right, so that's an I don't know. So that $25,000 is one of the projects that came from before. What other lists do we have for our vendor, the grant vendor? What is he going for from this money that we have assigned the CIP? So the log cabin, I just want to say it out loud so I don't miss any. Log cabin roof ADA, that we had already been awarded, right? Log cabin, we had already been awarded. The safe streets for all, we've been awarded. Portion of the parking money, we had been awarded, right? The public works building, part of what we call now demolition, we were awarded. We had part of it.
I don't know if there was a grant for that, no.
No, you're right. So it's two different things. This is a prior project that we never, I think it was 35 originally. We now have 50 for it, right? Based on the latest finds. So the new things we're going for is the storm repairs, stormwater repairs.
So that's through our ARPA money,
Correct.
and then that's through the state funding appropriations.
But that's a new phase we're doing next fiscal, hopefully.
Those were all phases that were already in the pipeline.
Then road around the log cabin, that's something new we're identifying. Log cabin upgrades, IT and all that as well, and the website upgrades as well. Okay. I had other questions here. So what about the idea of Miami Shores aquatic center and that partnership. How do you guys see that? At some point, we talked about leaving it for the budget discussion. Is this something we put it in the budget? Is this something that we bring it up later on in the year? And where would the money come from if this is something we move forward with? How do you see it? Do you see it not this year? I mean, I'm asking just to understand where you guys stand.
No,
I get a lot of feedback. This is a must, do, it's a want do, and I understand might not be a priority. We have identified already upgrades to the rec. I'm just wondering if this is something this year and or we don't touch it or we bring it up. Something I should put in an item in the next couple months and bring it up with the context that Miami Shores is going through a whole replan of their, there's a master plan of the rec center, right?
Mm.
So that facility might be closed for a certain amount of time. There might be a renegotiation remember, we still don't have the go. I mean, we've never even said yes to the opportunity to say, can we? Maybe the answer is no. It doesn't matter if we pay 50, right? So that we're at the state that just opened the door for the conversation. I just wanted to bring it up now so that it's not too late on the game. And the question is where the money is coming from.
Commissioner, if I could interrupt,
Yeah.
that scenario that you've outlined is obviously an excellent project, I'm sure, but it's so pre-decisional that it really doesn't fit in a budget line item because it has no details to go with it and et cetera. What that would typically fall under is, the commission would get, whoever would get the information, the manager would come back with a report, and any report for that involves funding would always have a funding solution or a plan.
Yeah.
And I would interpret that one as an unassigned balance decision, simple resolution. The funds would be available to it right out of that line. It's not an ordinance because it's not a budgeted item. That's your least complicated way to spend funds on a topic
On
like
the
that.
unassigned.
So, and you're
Over the
allocating, you're going to have over $750,000 in that account. I
Yeah.
think it would accomplish a lot if needed.
Perfect. That answers my question then. And then it can be brought up and then we'll have a conversation and decide. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Very good. Are there any other questions from the rest of the commission on the capital improvement project?
No. I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget as amended.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Table it. Go back.
Apologies.
I make an intervening motion to table this ordinance.
Table the ordinance, go back to the,
And go
to
back
the
to-
millage.
9.3, then come
Yeah,
back.
remove
you
off
go.
the table
There
the
you go.
previous.
Do we have a second to table ordinance 2025-02?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have a motion to reopen 2025-01?
Motion to reopen ordinance 25-01.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Motion to approve 2025-0-01.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on 2025-01?
Mayor Gross,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Samara,
Yes.
Commissioner Amsler,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Huntington.
Yes.
The item passes 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Motion to reopen ordinance 25-02.
Do we have a second?
I'll sec-
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Motion to approve
as amended.
as amended, ordinance 2025-02.
And do we have a second on the amended motion?
Second it. But this is the one where we have to have all 5 commissioners, right? Okay, just want to be sure I understand that. Okay.
Well, the first one
The
was,
first one was.
Miller.
Oh, first one was,
yes.
I second it.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on ordinance 2025-02, please?
Mayor Gross,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Samara,
Yes.
Commissioner Amsler,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Huntington.
Yes.
The item passes 5-0 on second reading.
Before we adjourn, I just want to say thank you to everybody that was involved in this budget process. It was smooth. It was professionally done. I could see the improvements on this budget from budgets in the years past. So, Mr. Manager, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Attorney, all of our department heads. Thank you for being here for all of these and for all
Well
of your
done.
input. Thank you, Paul, for all of your help, and thank you for the residents. Thank you for coming out and providing your input. It's been very valuable. Thanks, everyone, for all of your hard work. And at this point, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Amen.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.